Well, we're just about ready to start tonight's ball game, and first of all, we should say outside of the pitcher, there is no change in either lineup. So if you're going to keep score rather than throw the lineup at you, we'll go very slowly. Al Nipper on the mound. He was 10 and 12 during the regular year, and he'll be pitching to Len Dykstra, then Wally Backman and Keith Hernandez, and we're about ready to go. 1 ball and no strikes. Nipper brings a full bag of tricks. A fastball. He has a curveball, a slider, a knuckleball, and a screwball. And he needs great control. There's a hopper to the left of the shortstop, Spike Owen, who makes a good play to take a hit away from Dykstra.
It was a good piece of hitting by Dykstra. It was a good play by Owen. He shortened up as if to bunt, thinking he might get the breaking ball like he did on the first pitch. Got a fastball inside. He inside-outed it, and Spike Owen, almost handcuffed, really made a fine play. I think there were messages sent very early in this game. First pitch, a curveball. Nipper trying to tell him, hey, I can throw my breaking ball whenever I want to. And Owen making that play stopped one of the big attacks when Dykstra gets on and Backman follows.
Dykstra last night had 4 hits. Here's Wally Backman. He had 1 hit last night. 0-1. Last night, the top of the Mets lineup had more than half the hits. In the first 2 games, the top of the lineup was very quiet. On deck, Keith Hernandez. And the bunt fouled away.
It was off his foot, too, as he tried to bunt. And he's limping around. Fastball. Much like the Mets came out last night, then really out of the chute. Red Sox with Nipper really had to put him down 1, 2, 3. There you see it.
The big concern for John McNamara is the fact, A, that Nipper hasn't worked in 17 days. B, he must stay ahead of the hitters. Well, he is certainly ahead of Backman now. No balls and 2 strikes. 1 out, first inning, no score. We're just starting. So pull up a chair. And that's hit down the left field line, foul, and back into the crowd, out of play. Still 0-2. Little background on Al Nipper. He suffered a deep muscle cut near his right kneecap the middle of May against Texas during a home plate collision with Larry Parrish. Placed on the 21-day disabled list on the 19th of May and reactivated on June 25th. He perhaps pitched one of the clutch games of the year when he beat the Yankees in June 5-4. 0-2. 4-1. For Nipper, working on Backman with Hernandez on deck. 1 out, first inning, no score. The plate umpire is Joe Brinkman of the American League. Fouled away. For Nipper, he had 1 complete game at Fenway Park this year. It was way back in April against Kansas City, and he lost 1-0. And it's ironical that a fellow who worshiped Tom Seaver when he was a little kid in St. Louis, Al Nipper, has grown up to replace Tom Seaver, pitching in the Game 4 of the World Series. 2-2.
That was that good sinker that he has. The one thing that he does well when he's on is to throw that breaking ball when he's behind hitters. Much made about the number of days he's been since he pitched, but Bill Fisher said he's worked in the bullpen, he's pitched batting practice. He isn't that well rested.
Fouled away the other way. That'll roll into the Sox dugout, and the count stays 2-2. Another thing, if the Mets try to bunt, and Davy Johnson might very much have that into his plan of attack, Nipper is an excellent fielder, and the scouts report he is very quick on his feet. So if you bunt, you have an extra glove out there in the defense. A roller to Buckner, and he'll do it himself.
It took a little bit of a bad hop, but it wasn't hit that hard. And so once it kind of shoot to the right, there you see it right there. And the grass was cut once again today When I asked the groundskeeper, Joe Mooney, he said, hey, you put tarp on the grass, it'll grow 1/4 of an inch. But that grass has been cut. It is low. And that ball did take a little bad hop.
So we have 2 down here in the first inning. Bases empty, and Keith Hernandez, the batter, with Gary Carter on deck. And he starts him low, ball 1, 1-0. That's basically the key to Nipper anyway. He must stay down since he does not have that kind of velocity on his fastball.
This is a big out for Nipper if he can get it.
Missed inside with the slider, ball 2.
If he can get him 1, 2, 3, it'll be the equivalent of what the Mets did in their first inning last night.
2 down, bases empty, 2 balls and no strikes to Keith Hernandez. In there.
Slider.
Nipper, in the words of McNamara, is a great competitor, but because of that, the only thing they're worrying about is that he would rush himself trying to charge the hitter. So far, he seems to be very much in control of himself. 2-1 to Keith Hernandez. Rice playing Hernandez to pull. He's way off the line. 2-2. See where Rice is. He's almost past the scoreboard. So he is giving Keith Hernandez just about all of straightaway left field. Three and 2. On deck, Gary Carter.
This will give you an indication as we look at Carter what Nipper is thinking as far as the control of the pitches that he has. 3 and 2. See what he goes to.
And he went with the fastball and missed with it. So Hernandez becomes the first base runner, and the batter will be Gary Carter. John McNamara with a calculated gamble, as we explained. He now has his best 3 pitchers lined up in case. Hurst against Gooden for game 5. Clemens against Ojeda if there is a game 6. And then if there's a 7, it would be Ron Darling coming back against Oil Can Boyd. Ball 1. Hernandez at first, 2 out in the first inning, no score.
Nipper does have a tendency, as you talked to Bill Fisher, the pitching coach, to nibble. Instead of getting ahead of those hitters, he'll try to shoot for the corner, miss, and be behind.
And he got a fastball at the knees for a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike.
That pitch right there, there's no way you can pull that pitch. You have to make a mistake to be able to pull it, and that pitch was right on the corner.
1-1 to Gary. On the hands, a little pop fly back at first, behind Buckner, and it's going to drop foul untouched. And now let's see what a second swing will be given to Gary Carter. He should have been retired, but Buckner, of course, playing on that bad leg.
He breaks right to the foul line right now. He thinks that ball is foul. Now he doesn't find it. He's not even looking. Now he's trying to find it, and he knows he's in deep trouble right here.
And you can see his left foot slipped, and he went falling on his numbers. The ball hit him just about on the wrist. So Gary Carter has been given a good break. Watch the left foot. There it goes.
He was in trouble before that slip.
No error on the play. So Buckner involved in a twisting foul, can't get it, and Carter given life with the count 1-2. Slider away, 2-2.
All good ball clubs, I don't care what the sport is, they have an eraser, and this is the spot. Nipper has to erase that mistake.
On deck, Darryl Strawberry. Got him on the outside corner. No runs, no hits, a man left, and at the end of half an inning, Mets nothing, and the Red Sox coming up. The Red Sox lineup, no change from last night. Wade Boggs, Marty Barrett, and Bill Buckner. Jim Rice in the cleanup spot in left. Then Don Baylor, along with Evans and Gedman, Henderson in center, and Owen at shortstop. And trying to stop them for the Mets, Ron Darling. Darling, you remember, lost the heartbreaker on an underrun, and he went 7 innings and lost 1-0.
The defense, Mookie Wilson is in left field. Dykstra, Strawberry. Strawberry's strong arm, but the word is not that accurate at all times. Ninth, Santana, Backman, Hernandez at first. Carter behind the plate. Darling, good sinker ball, curve ball, throws a fork ball, and I like what he said. He said the game that he lost, he said, hey, we didn't get enough runs, but I had good rhythm and all those other good cliches.
Darling, who went to school at Yale, but also went to high school at St. John's in Millbury, Massachusetts, which is right near Worcester. And as he mentioned on the pregame show, sat in the center field bleachers when Bernie Carbo hit a home run that landed nearby in that important Game 6. And now suddenly, 11 years later, here he is on the mound trying to beat the Red Sox. Darling ready to look at Wade Boggs, Marty Barrett, and Bill Buckner.
Wouldn't you think that Wade Boggs just once would swing at the first pitch?
Well, what do they say? 5% of the time.
He wants to take a good look at it, and he'll measure it, and he's got himself programmed because, as you heard him on the pregame show, he's faced Ron Darling. He knows what Darling's going to try to do, and he knows pretty much what to expect.
Well, it's the second time around for Wade now to look at Ron Darling. Darling having counsel first with Mike Torres about the older Red Sox hitters, then Bobby Ojeda about the young hitters, and then pitching coach Mel Stottlemyre about pitching here at Fenway. Fastball strike. Boggs taking a look. No balls, 1 strike. First inning, no score. Another fastball, a comebacker. And Darling takes care of Boggs. So back-to-back fastballs to take care of the Major League's best hitter. And the batter will be Marty Barrett. Darling comes into this game with a reputation of being a very good fielding pitcher, and you just saw an example of it. Second baseman Marty Barrett with Bill Buckner on deck.
Hernandez is really wide at first base because Marty has been hitting that way the whole series. There you see it, and that really kind of plugs that gap.
In there, 0-1. Hernandez and Backman, Santana and Knight, Wilson, Dykstra, and Strawberry. And Dykstra just a couple of steps over towards right center. Just a couple. And that's hit into left center, and there's nobody there. Barrett on his way to second base, and he's in there with a double.
It's the old saying, if you're going to play him there, you better pitch him there. It's right over the inside part of the plate. And I tell you, the more you see of Marty Barrett, the more you like him. You make a little mistake on him, and he'll hurt you badly, just like he did, and get the pitch you want. He'll still get contact and probably punch it the opposite field. Just a good-looking ball player.
So Barrett, a one-out double up the alley in left center, and now Buckner and Rice trying to pick him up. Ball 1. In talking about Darling coming back on 3 days rest, he's done that twice in his career. Last September against Montreal, he came back and beat them, going 8 innings. The end of '85 in his last start, he went 6 innings after 3 days rest. Line drive, foul. Buckner ripped it, and the count 1 ball, 1 strike.
Pitch was inside, and Buck really opened up on it and hit it hard. Usually Buckner will hit that ball left center field, but get that ball where that one was, and he'll do exactly that as we look at Marty Barrett at second base.
Strawberry is giving Buckner a good deal of right field. He's almost over in right center. Everybody else is about straight away. Santana trying to bird dog Barrett at second. And he lunged for one to Hernandez. He'll do it himself, and that way he keeps the play in front of him and eyeballs Barrett at third. So Marty Barrett at third, 2 down in the first inning, and here's Jim Rice. Jim enjoying a great series, and up there now with a big chance to get the Sox out on the right foot. Started in fastball, and that's a rare time for Rice to take a first pitch fastball.
Well, he makes up his mind before he gets in that box. It's what he says that what he's going to do on that first pitch. And it looks like he's a little bit lower on that bat. I can't really tell from here.
0-1. One and one to Jim Rice.
As you watch Carter after he gives that sign, it's a pretty good indication as to what it's going to be. Get that ball inside, and he can just flick that ball to left field, keep it outside, and he wants to drive it.
1-1 in the dirt, and that brings up an interesting point with a runner at third. Darling led the Mets with 7 wild pitches during the year, and you might remember in Game 1 he tied a World Series record with 2 wild pitches, and that has to be on his mind with Barrett at third and 2 out. Speed, and he missed, and now he's behind 3-1.
The key to how much it's on your mind, Vin, as we look at Don Baylor, the on-deck batter, is how much confidence Darling has in Carter and being able to block that pitch. It's usually a breaking ball, the curve ball that they wild pitch on, and if you got great confidence in your catcher, you throw it with confidence.
Barrett at third, 2 out first inning, no score. 3-1 to Jim Rice. And he walked it.
One of the interesting things in that sequence is that he did not come inside. Everything was away, like that wall may be on his mind, contrary to what he said. Now Baylor, who is right on top of that plate, is one of the few guys who is strong enough to take that outside pitch and flick it against the wall.
The first word he said to Carter, and he had kind of a puzzled look on his face, he said fastball. So we'll see what that means as he works on Baylor. First and third, 2 out, first inning, no score. 0-1. The infield swung way around. Wally Backman almost but not quite behind second base. Knight is guarding the line, and Santana is in the hole. Dykstra deep in left center. Now he's in a hole, 2-0 on deck. Dwight Evans.
The kind of defense that he has set up, it would indicate that he's going to come inside, because you can see that the shortstop and third base are about shaking hands. He's playing him to pull, and you have to make him pull.
Baylor, swinging that hot bat, has hit in all 8 postseason games in which he has played, including last night. 0-3.
Brother, look out now. He's got the green light. I'm sure he got it when he left home today. As we look at Stottlemyre, there's no sense looking at the coaches. He can pick his pitch, and I mean you zero in. Not only fastball, low inside, whatever you want. This is the time.
3-0. The count to Don Baylor. Fastball at the knees and good pour to the plate.
The outside part, though, this guy's looking for something he can pull.
On deck, Dwight Evans. Three and two. So on a full count, Jim Rice will be going from first base, and Hernandez hollering over to Darling, "I'm coming off the bag." Barrett at third.
Early in the game, we've had that game situation. It's strength against strength now.
Rice ready to go from first. There he goes. And it is just outside. Ball four to load him up for Dwight Evans.
Dwight Evans, a good low ball hitter, a good low fastball hitter.
Right field.
So Evans checks in with Baylor at first, Rice at second, Barrett at third. The veteran on the ball club up there in a clutch spot here in the first inning. Breaking ball, ball one. So after all the fastballs he threw, he tried to start Evans off curve and missed.
Well, if you're Evans, what are you looking for? You missed with the curveball. He's been relying on the fastball. You're ahead of him. I think he'd be looking fastball.
And he's the best low ball hitter on the club. In there. He got it around the belt or a little higher. So Baylor holds it first. Rice out there at second. Barrett down the line from third. One ball, one strike. One and two, and you can hear them groan here at Fenway as Evans went after the curveball and came up empty. One and two. Got him. Or was it foul? Foul. And Carter unable to hold on to it.
He may have chased a bad ball. That was a sinker. It looked like the outside part of the plate, and he was protecting it and just pounded it straight down. There you see it. He just did get a piece of it.
One thing you can't practice, huh?
No
Foul
way.
tips.
You can't practice foul tips. Because you want that ball when you set the target, you think the batter's going to miss it, and of course if he tips it, it's off the track.
Foul back, so it's still 1 and 2.
I think that was a mistake, Vin. A high curveball.
He got it inside. It was that bad. And Evans hit under it, fouled it back to the screen, and it's still 1 and 2. A shaky first inning for Ron Darling. Bases loaded, 2 out, 1 and 2. The count to Dwight Evans. Little ground ball down to Santana. He shovels to Backman, and the inning is over, and the Red Sox come up empty. No runs, 1 hit, 3 left, and the boy from Millbury is off the hook. It was May the 18th versus Texas when Al Nipper suffered a deep muscle cut near his right kneecap. After a wild pitch, Larry Parrish trying to score from third, and the collision. And for a while, it certainly looked like Nipper's career was in a lot of trouble. He was on the DL 21 days, finally came back after that serious knee injury. And right near the very end of the year, we did a game with the Sox in Toronto where he took a line drive off the inside of his left knee.
You know, he still got a mark from that, because I asked him about that. He said that thing is still tender.
I was always surprised, and we really pointed it out that day, about how the glove wound up behind his left leg. He was so vulnerable to a comebacker. Well, now here's Darryl Strawberry. Big, slow curveball for a strike. The 5 strikeouts, however, that's not high for this series. Rich Gedman has struck out 6 times. And he tries to pull a knuckleball down to Marty Barrett, who gets it.
You can see that young Strawberry just is not sure of that strike zone. I mean, it's not a case of a particular spot or a particular pitch. They're getting him out with most anything.
And it's interesting, too. We heard so much about how he's capable of hitting the wall in left field. And like Hernandez last night, he got a pitch on the outside part of the plate, and he still went out and tried to pull it instead of going for the wall. Here's Ray Knight. Top of the second, 1 out, no score. Sox loaded the bases, failed to score in the first inning. Right.
One of the things you have to fight here, like you used to have to fight in the old Ebbets Field or the Polo Grounds, you put on such an exhibition in batting practice because they're laying it in and you're popping it over the seats into the bleachers and you carry it on to the game.
Just to refresh your memory, 315 down the left field line, 302 down the right field line. The graveyard is in center, right center, 420. Out there. There's a shot into the hole and through into left field for a base hit for Ray Knight. So Knight, a 1-out single to left, and that will bring up Danny Heap, who was born to be a designated hitter. After all, those are his initials.
He's a funny kid. He asked him, he said, what do you think you have to do to play regular on this club? He said the team bus would have to go off the road.
Well, it didn't go off the road last night, but he kind of pushed the Sox bus off the road. Remember when the Sox messed up the rundown, the bases were loaded, it was Danny Heap who singled in 2 runs in a big first inning. Ball 1. If you're wondering, Knight does not have any speed, and Heap has not sacrificed in over 2 years. So they're not looking bunt.
I'll tell you, he just did a good thing. He gave his coach a chance to go through a bunch of signs.
1-0 to Danny. Ball 2. Again, as we pointed out last night, it's interesting, depending upon the situation, to take a look at Buddy Harrelson, the third base coach. If he is looking for a shot down the right field line, he stays up beyond the box. In there. 2-1. Then if he has a runner at second and there might be a play at the plate, then he's in front of the coaching box. Two and 1. Big chopper to Buckner. He goes down to Owen. Back to Buckner. Double play. 3-6-3. And the Mets are erased in the top of the second inning. And at the end of an inning and a half, no score.
How to make the 3-6-3 double play? They should save this. Watch Buckner. Now he comes up with the ball. Make sure he's going to get 1 out. He gives Owen a good throw, shows him the ball all the way, and look at Owen dance out of the way of the runner so he can get something on it, and it's a 3-6-3.
You know, from that angle and Ray Knight's lack of speed, you realize he was throwing the ball down to the shortstop, and Knight was probably 35 feet from the bag. So he had plenty of an angle and plenty of room to hit Owen, and Ray never had a chance to get to him. We'll pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network. No score. Bottom of the second inning. Rich Gedman, Dave Henderson, and Spike Owen. We mentioned it in game 1, the fact that Darling and Gedman faced each other in high school. Gedman pitched to Darling and hit him. Darling pitched to Gedman and walked him intentionally with runners at second and third. Ball 1.
Had a long talk with Gedman about his hitting, and when he talks about taking that top hand off the bat, he feels he gets even more power that way. He says when you hold on with 2 hands, it stops your swing. The perfect swing, the bat is above my head, and I feel like I get more power.
1-0 to Rich. Line drive inside first, down the line and in the corner. Strawberry playing the carom deep, And Getty's into second base, standing with a double.
He just pulls that pitch, looked like a breaking ball inside part of the plate, and drills it. And this could be trouble when it hits that wall. You can see not much room there, but Strawberry plays it well. And it's a two-base hit all the way, but if it gets by Strawberry, Gedman could run for about maybe a day or so.
Well, the Sox had a one-out double by Marty Barrett in the first inning. Now, Gedman doubles, opening up the second, and the batter is Dave Henderson. Ball one. If you joined us late, Ron Darling walked two, gave up a double, and then got Dwight Evans with two out to hit into a force play. And now he's in the soup again. In there. 1-1 to Hendu.
He wanted to pull the trigger and just wasn't sure of it.
At second base, Rich Gedman, nobody out. Fouled away. And a cluster of balloons suddenly appears with the sign "Go Sox," and that'll hang over the infield for a while. Hopefully, and we'll just have to wait a while.
Hopefully it'll come straight down like it is. Standing ovation for balloons. How do you like that? This is prime time. Look at Santana. Remember when he bit the balloon?
Yeah, right.
He'll have a meal here if he wants to.
And in the old days, around the world on a Western Union telegraph, a time called balloons.
Yeah, and you don't know what's going, so you have to have batter fouling off a bunch of pitches.
1-2. The count to Dave Henderson, and the balloons go down the steps and into the Mets dugout. Maybe.
He can't get through.
All right, back to business. Gedman at second, nobody out, no score, second inning. Henderson, Owen, and Bonds. Time.
A lot of times with the man on second base, the pitcher will just stare you to another sign, and that's what happened there. You don't necessarily have to shake it off. You just stare, and catcher knows and goes to a different set of signs.
With a right-hand hitter up there, it's Backman's responsibility to bird dog a little bit at the runner, and Henderson strikes out. First strikeout for Ron Darling. Remember, he struck out 8 in game 1.
It looked like a bad pitch. He may have chased a breaking ball out of the zone. Certainly did. Sinker. And that's a big play because with a man on second base, if you make the out, you got to pick up the base. You got to pick up the base.
Spike Owen trying to get Rich Gedman home. Spike involved along with Gedman for sharing the blame in the messed up rundown last night. Now they're trying to combine to get a run. Ball one.
His college coach, Cliff Gustafson, is here. Talked to him before the game. Of course, he coached Clemens and he coached Giraldi, but he's really high on this young man. And coaches here with Bill Bethea is #1 man and very proud. 3 of them in the World Series. That's pretty good.
Say. And an umpire, Jim Evans.
That's right.
1 ball and no strikes to Spike. And a busted bat, ground ball to the right side. Backman is on it to get him, and Gedman moves over to third. 2 out, a runner at third, and the batter is Wade Boggs. Boggs hit sharply back to the box in the first inning. Then you have Marty Barrett. But Ron Darling got a lot of thinking to do right now.
Boggs will try to hit him from the middle of the diamond over to the left field line, and that's the way they're playing him. Dykstra is shading him towards left center field. You see that, and Mookie pretty much straight away.
Darling working out of a stretch, trying to improve his control. A strike. Sox with some golden opportunities so far. Oh, 0-1.
There are many theories on taking the first pitch. The best one I ever heard was that if it's a strike, you know he's coming back with it. If it's a ball, you're ahead of him. And when you talk to most hitters who take that first strike, they say, well, I want to try to judge the speed of his fastball.
1-1 to Boggs. High fly ball into right center. Cruising over is Lenny Dykstra. And so the Red Sox leave another man in scoring position. And at the end of 2, no score. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station. Tonight's game is brought to you by New York Life to help you get the most out of life. And by Mr. Goodwrench. No one knows your GM car better than Mr. Goodwrench. No one. The Red Sox have squandered 2 golden opportunities. It is scoreless in the 3rd with Mookie Wilson, Rafael Santana, and Len Dykstra. And a strike to Mookie. Hitting about a buck. One and one. Al Nipper gave up a walk in the first inning, a single in the second inning. Ground ball wide of first to Buckner. He has to overhand and spot it to Nipper, who makes a good play. And lunging for the throw, he lost his cap, as you can see. Sign of a good play.
That was not a good throw by Buckner, and he says to him something like, hey, nice going. Now, when he gets the ball, looks like he's going to have plenty of time. But instead of giving it to him from the letters to about the cap, watch where he gives it to him. Low, and he has to reach for it, and Nipper really makes a good play out of it. The perfect spot is right about at the letters, where you just catch it as you're running. You reach like that. That's a tough play, Vin.
And you remember, not only trying to catch the ball, he's got to hit the bag as well.
And make a left turn so he doesn't have a collision.
So Nipper did it all 1 out, and here's Rafael Santana with Len Dykstra on deck. No score in the 3rd. Ball 1. John McNamara says, as Santana checks in, that Al Nipper, his entire game starts out very early. If he has his rhythm by the second inning, he's going to be tough. Well, here he is in the 3rd. A strike. 1-1.
He's had control of 3 different pitches so far. I mean, that was the breaking ball he got over, the sinker. He's got the slider over.
1-1 to Santana. Little check swing. He kind of pity patted the ball back to Nipper. 2 down. So Nipper retires 2, and the batter will be Lenny Dykstra, who hit the ball fairly hard in the first inning, but at the shortstop, and Owen threw him out.
Tell you, the tip-off on Dykstra, now, if you were playing against him, you'd say, well, 2 guys out, he's got to swing, try to get the extra base hit. But you can't say that with him. He's liable to do anything, and he certainly is capable of getting you the extra base hit.
Buckner stays deep. Barrett shortens up in case there's a drag bunt his way, and Boggs is on the grass at 3rd.
He makes you think.
Ball 1. The only man really at a normal depth besides Buckner is Spike Owen. So Dykstra has everybody thinking on the infield. Slicing down the left field line, out of play.
I always felt when those guys would come up, Vin, that the only guy who really doesn't go into a defensive posture is the catcher. Everybody else makes a change. The catcher stays the same. He gives a sign and hopes that he doesn't have a collision.
1 ball and 1 strike to Dykstra. 2 out in the third. No score. Ball 2, 2-1. Nipper has a little bit of a different windup in the sense that he keeps his hands at his side holding the ball. It's not as if he curls up and tries to hide it. He'll keep his hands like that as he goes into the windup. Ground ball to Buckner. He'll take it to the bag, and that's it. The Mets are out in order, and at the end of 2.5 innings, Nipper gets an ovation. No score.
You hope that your pitcher has more than one pitch when you start the game. A game within the game. Watch what Nipper does. Strawberry, the first pitch. Curveball. Knight, first pitch. Slider. Heap, he turned it over. So he's got it going so far.
And he still has a knuckleball.
But that he hasn't really thrown yet.
Marty Barrett followed by Bill Buckner and then Jim Rice. Bottom of the third, no score. Barrett's been tearing it up. Right.
Barrett's one of those hitters when you have a meeting you want to use a football term and say against him we'll use the nickel defense.
0-1. 1-1. Contrast in styles. Nipper has faced one above the minimum, only 10 batters in 3 innings. Darling had the bases loaded and survived in the first inning and gave up a leadoff double to Gedman and got off the hook. 1-1 to Marty Barrett. Ball 2. On deck, waiting his turn, Bill Buckner.